June 20th, 2023 Health and Ed Committee meeting. I failed to turn my microphone on. Thank you, committee members, for encouraging me to do that. We will actually call the roll first, and then we'll proceed with our agenda.
Commissioner Oliver?
Present.
Commissioner Davidson?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here.
Commissioner McMurray?
Here. Commissioner
Gooch? Chairman Dodd?
Present.
We have a quorum.
First item on our agenda is approval of minutes from the May meeting. Vice Chair Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes from our May joint meeting. I find them to be in order, and without objection, I move for their approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. 2 simultaneous seconds. All those who approve of that motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Director Crumby, our first item of committees is the Health Department. And if you would, remember, our chairman has asked us to state our name and title and for the public. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Byron Cumby, Director of the Rutherford County Health Department. Here with the report for May. Your health department continues to do good work for the people in Rutherford, and we're proud to serve. You should have our health outreach report for May made available to you there. In keeping with our mission to protect, promote, and improve the health and prosperity of the people in Tennessee, as we protect with our disease intervention efforts, immunizations, and environmental health in the first column. Promote with our health outreach, diabetes outreach, and community participation, vital records administration there in the center column. And then improve with our primary care services, dental services, WIC, and family planning. All programs appear to be on track and progressing nicely, and we see no areas of concern. The CDC has replaced their community level rating of COVID levels metric with a hospital admission level. And that level in Rutherford County, we're pleased to relate to you, is currently low and has remained low. As I related to Commissioner McMurray, we are seeing some of our lowest numbers for hospital admissions and for COVID-related deaths in Tennessee since the onset of the pandemic, and we're very pleased to see that. And while you all know, we've related that here, the COVID-19 public health emergency has officially ended. The Department of Health and Human Services has announced a bridge program to maintain access to COVID-19 vaccines and treatments for the uninsured. Through a public-private partnership, vaccines and treatments will continue to be made available through existing public health infrastructure as well as local pharmacy chains through December 2024. At the Rutherford County Health Department, we still offer testing, free rapid kit, available during business hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. Vaccines and boosters are free. We have the Pfizer vaccine from 8 to 10 a.m. or 1 to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday with no appointment necessary. And while school has just ended for many and summer vacation is underway, your health department is laying the groundwork to get students prepared for school registration for the 2023-2024 school year. One of the important services that we do offer at the health department is immunization records. If students receive their vaccines in Tennessee, we print a certified copy of their immunization record, which is required for most school registrations. If they're transferring in from out of state, which a lot of them do, we can input their out-of-state immunization record into the Tennessee system, and if they have the required vaccines, we'll then print a certificate. If they need further vaccines, we can set them appointment to get those. One exciting innovation I wanted to relate to you, we have added to our website, is a vaccine transfer portal. Where parents can easily upload their students' records, and then we can prepare those documents to be picked up once they have been completely entered into the Tennessee system. This is a very convenient option that hundreds of families have utilized already. There's even a QR code that can be scanned with a smartphone and take parents right to that portal to upload records, and that's accessible on our Rutherford County Health Department webpage. And finally, our blood drive, July 14th. We're partnering with the American Red Cross to sponsor a blood drive at our downtown Murfreesboro location at 100 West Burton Street. We have a link to our on our webpage that shows you how to register for a specific time, or if anyone should want to drop by, that will be Friday, July 14th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any comment or observations or questions for Director Crumby? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Great. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Community care, the minutes are in your SharePoint. A couple of items. Ms. Abby Gerke has been employed by the United Church Homes as a new administrator. I got to meet her at the grand opening ribbon cutting for the new remodel job, and I think all of you guys may have been at the ribbon cutting. And the folks there acknowledged the admission nurse, and the administrator acknowledged their gratitude for such a good turnout. And I enjoyed going later in the afternoon and got a good tour. So just acknowledge that Abby Gerke is present and taking place of Tanner Faust. Also, just 137 inquiries were made in the last month, 31 admissions, and 35 discharges. Other items are in the minutes, and we will, I know we will meet out there. We've talked about it. One of the board members suggested in the fall is a better time for them, though it's just going to be our meeting, I anticipate. But nonetheless, we will lock in a date to meet out there at their place. I've talked to IT, and they can handle it. The new space that we toured, I think Vice Chair Wilson observed, a great place for us to meet, plenty of room, good accommodations, and I think plenty of room for IT to set up and make sure it's published. So we look forward to that in our future. Special projects report, no report from Director Smith. And we may touch on some of the special projects because we're looking at a couple of cleanup budgets for the schools. So if they have anything for special projects, we can discuss it then. Having said that, unless you have anything for us, Director Smith, if you were up here, I'd be calling on you. Having said that, Dr. Sullivan, if it's time for the school board report. Yes, Mr. Smith. Yes, sir.
I do have one thing for special projects. One of the reasons you don't have a special projects is for you is as we close out the year, that fund is changing quite a bit. The other item that is going to change this week will be the Beatty, closing on the Beatty property. And so as we transition that money out today and tomorrow, that will change significantly. The other thing we did that budget will see tomorrow night is we did today issue our bond anticipation notes for the 3 high school additions. So that's a $35 million bond anticipation note that will be in Fund 189, our other capital projects fund. And so you will have an end of year report for that fund, but there's so many moving parts. Just today, I got everybody to sign to issue that bond anticipation note, but that is kind of an update of where we stand, but that does kind of involve the schools there. So any questions on that? Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Dr. Sullivan.
Evening, Commissioners. You guys want to go ahead and start on the amendments and then give updates?
Just
Where you want to go?
just remind, just for the public,
Jimmy
Chairman has
Sullivan.
asked us to
Yeah.
name and title.
Jimmy Sullivan, Rutherford County Director of Schools. So we have several amendments before you, so I'm going to go in order that is listed on your SharePoint. So the first one is a Fund 141 General Purpose School Budget Amendment. This final year in cleanup amendment budgets funds for items such as leave payouts, increases for degrees and certification pay scale changes, additional costs for contracted services such as instructional software, stripping and waxing of school floors, Genesis Academy, and capital outlay for construction. Funding for these expenses to come from a portion of revenue collected above budgeted amounts and moving budgeted expenditures between accounts and within object codes. And so our board approved this. Was that the last meeting in June? And I have Brian Runyon, our county finance director. He's got some others that will use his expertise as we get a little bit further on as well. We're happy to answer questions.
Brian, Brian, if you would, just kind of summarize dollars. If the other sheet's here that we can flip to, let us know that. I'm sorry, Phil, I may have interrupted you.
So I'm Brian Runyon, the Assistant Superintendent of Budget Finance at Rutherford County Schools. Good evening, Commissioners. So if you look at this exhausting spreadsheet or PDF, I believe is what it is, on your share drive, basically what we're doing here is just an end-of-year cleanup. So if we, for example, have overspent in a specific line item and we have another line item that has the budgeted amount that we can move to that, that's basically what this is. It's just moving money in between accounts and line items in order to make sure that we did not over budget or overspend our budgeted amount in those line items, which in return leads to us having audit findings. So basically, there's $2.6 million that we actually also budgeted in additional revenue that came through from growth from BEP. Some of it was also our voluntary pre-K grant that we get from the state. We got an additional amount for classrooms in there that we amended in, and then also indirect costs that we collect from our federal projects, which is yes.
So I see a couple of you commissioners looking for it. So the first thing that's on your SharePoint is the actual agenda, and then the actual list will be the one that is third from the bottom, fiscal year 22-23 Fund 141 amendment.
I apologize for that. I didn't know it wasn't in order like that. So
Let everybody catch on that, Brian. Let everybody make sure we're on the 4-page exhaustive list, yeah. Did you move 7.866 million? If I look at the bottom line,
yes, that's the total that we moved, or there was 5.2 million of that moved in between account numbers and line items. 2.6 million of that was additional revenue that we had not budgeted throughout the year that we received.
that you
from the
cleaned
state.
up. In your cleanup, you recognize.
Yes, so we're
revenue.
cleaning up everything. Anything that was over budgeted or expense that was over budget, then we were just moving money in between line items and account numbers. So it's what we did. If you think back to February, we brought before this body mid-year cleanups. So it's basically final year cleanups is what this is. So.
Mr. Gooch.
They do it every year, Mr. Chairman. We see it at the end of the year, and I think other departments maybe also. So, but yeah, this is something I've seen year after year.
Very good. Thank you.
Is there any questions on it that y'all see that you have anything in specific?
We're considering the general purpose school budget amendment, Fund 141 general purpose school budget amendment. Brian or even Trey, do y'all, or Phil, do you want to take these independently?
Chairman, I believe this one is the independent one of 141, and then we'll take the other funds, and those are how we're switching up your cleanups is by fund number. So this is specifically Fund 141, General Purpose School Fund Cleanup. So I would like to go ahead and I would like to move to approve the fiscal year 2022-23 year-end cleanup amendment as presented for Fund 141.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions on this?
Yeah, is this the what we're moving? Yes. So okay, so 7.8 million. Okay.
With seeing no further questions at the moment, call the roll, please. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Commissioner Oliver.
Is this the one that's talking about stripping, waxing school floors, all of that?
Yes,
that what
ma'am.
this one is? Okay, great. Thank you.
Make sure Commissioner Oliver's good. You're welcome. Call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Dodd.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. When you guys are ready, you can carry on.
Okay, so the next one is in our Fund 177, which is the Education Capital Projects. And this is basically the same thing, except a lot shorter than the 141 fund. Basically, what we're doing in this one is a routine annual cleanup amendment to true-up expenditure line items at fiscal year end. This amendment moves money to increase multiple object codes in the amount of $69,361 to cover additional expenses for construction, fire damper testing, and architecture fees for chairlift project. The money was decreased from Object Code 335 that had additional budgeted money available to move. Are there any questions about that?
And I believe that's going to be your second document is the actual wording, and then the movement of funds is the second to the bottom.
This is the 22-23 Fund 177 budget. Any comments or thoughts, or I'll entertain a motion.
Chairman, I'll also move to approve the fiscal year 2022-23 year-end cleanup amendment as presented for Fund 177.
I have a second, Commissioner Boyd. Any questions on this one? Again, it's a cleanup, it's moving funds, it's no new funds, and approved unanimously by the school board, I believe. Ms. Leahy, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Chairman Dodd.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Brian, if you're ready.
Okay, so the next one is number 4 and number 5 on your SharePoint. It is the Fund 143 Centralized Cafeteria Fund Budget Amendment. This is a Centralized Cafeteria Fund FY 22-23 amendment is a final cleanup amendment to move expenditures from food supplies to other line items to cover expenses over budgeted amounts due to additional professional development, increased costs to supplies and materials, and in-district travel. Questions?
The biggest item is other supplies and materials, 110,000. Any backstory on that or info?
Just the increased cost that we've had to supplies and materials that have increased with inflation. Pretty much what that is.
Yeah, which is the bulk of your item, so thank you.
I didn't understand what you said other means.
So other supplies and material can be, anything from food prep supplies, anything admin related, such as paper, whatever else they need to order for their cafeteria fund. So basically what that is the reason why it's been overspent in there is because of increased cost to those items and materials that they do purchase in other supplies and material line.
And again, this was a decrease, $135,000 from food supplies, so no new money. cleaning up, balancing, end of year. I entertain questions and/or motions.
I make a motion to approve Fund 143, Centralized Cafeteria Budget Amendment.
And a second, Commissioner Oliver. Any further discussion? If not, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Chairman Dodd.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.
Right, and then the last one we have is Amendment Number 12, Transfer of Funds. And so this is more of an accounting feature. So our Fund 142 is our federal projects fund. And federal projects, we are requesting, it has to be done by resolution, so you won't actually sign the resolution tonight. It's just I'm going to read the resolution so that you'll see it before it goes before the full commission. This is asking us to be able to move $3 million from 141 to 142 for cash flow purposes. When we are doing federal payroll, we need to make sure we hit payroll, and it's done through reimbursement most of the time, and so we don't want to be stuck not being able to meet payroll because we're waiting on funds to be delivered to us. So if you don't mind, Commissioner, you okay if I?
Yeah, I am, but so you said you won't be signing it tonight, but do we need to approve this motion before your board can consider it?
Our board has already approved and considered this portion of it, but it then has to go before the full commission.
Full commission, thank you.
Yep.
And Trey, I do recall that I've seen this one before, I think annually, some form of, have we moved some money to the federal because they're slow pay?
So years and years ago, we originally moved, I believe it was either $1 million or $2 million over there that's permanently there. I believe last year during COVID, this body approved what you're probably thinking of as a temporary transfer. One of the intents here is to make some of that money a permanent transfer due to just the increased budget in 142. And so some of this money is already sitting over there right now, but we need a resolution to make it permanently to stay over there so that we have enough cash flow to operate the federal projects funds for the school system.
Then I think I'll stop interrupting and let the resolution speak for itself, so thank you.
All right, so bear with me while I read the resolution. So resolution to transfer funds from general purpose school funds to federal projects fund for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. Whereas federal projects grants operate on a reimbursement basis and funds are requested from the state of Tennessee by Rutherford County Schools for expenditures on at least a monthly basis. And whereas the federal projects fund operates with a cash deficit at various times throughout the fiscal year due to the turnaround time needed for reimbursements from the state of Tennessee. And whereas government auditing standards consider a cash deficit in any fund to be a significant deficiency in internal control, and whereas Rutherford County Schools does not desire to operate any fund with a cash deficit, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Rutherford County Schools in Tennessee meeting in session on this 8th day of June 2023, and by the County Commissioner of Rutherford County in Tennessee meeting in session on the 26th day of June 2023, that Section 1, the General Purpose School Fund shall transfer $3 million to the Federal Projects Fund by June 30th, 2023. Section 2, the $3 million transfer shall remain in the Federal Projects Fund as committed fund balance from the General Purpose School Fund and may be repaid at any time as noted in a resolution passed by the Board of Education and County Commission. And Section 3, this resolution will take effect on June 26, 2023. Secretary of the Board of Education shall include this resolution in the minutes of the Rutherford County Schools, and the county clerk shall include this resolution in the minutes of Rutherford County. And you'll see our board actually adopted this on June 8th.
Chairman, I move to approve this resolution to transfer the funds and to forward this to the County Commission agenda for the 26th day of June meeting.
Second.
Any discussion or any clarity from Mr. Smith?
Question, please.
Commissioner Oliver?
In your resolution, discussion prior to, it was stated that these funds are going to be quote-unquote permanently, but in your resolution, you said something about funds may be repaid. So can you clarify that for me?
So we are transferring them permanently, but they can always be recalled if we need them to go back into 141. So the intent is to leave them there permanently for cash flow purposes, but in the event of an emergency, that fund is sitting there.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second if we're comfortable. Any other thoughts or questions? Any comments, Mike? You please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes.
Chairman Dodd.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I know we went through that quick, but again, they're not new money transferring to clean up. So thank you for having a very concise language and text there. If you would, any news
Yep.
from the board and then kind of some update on?
So just a couple quick updates. So we are in the middle of hosting our summer camps and summer schools. So just as we did last year, and I spoke to you about this last year in my previous position, but our summer camps for rising kindergarten through 8th graders have enrolled just over 2,500 students, which is a huge monumental task because that is just about the average size district in the state of Tennessee, and we serve that many kids in summer school or in summer camp. Our summer schools are exactly the same way. Summer camps end at the end of June. Summer school is high school, and that will end in July where students are earning credit. So yes, it is summer, but we still probably have somewhere between 31 and 3,500 kids still attending school Monday through Friday in our district throughout the summer. The other big thing that we had is in May, we had our final capacity presentation. We have undergone a third-party consultant called RSP that has gone on about a 1.5 year long presentation to look at our boundaries and our capacity and enrollment because we realize we're a huge ask on the county, so we want to make sure that we're utilizing all the resources we have while we ask for resources for our growth. And so we had our overall capacity. I don't think it's any surprise to say we do have some open seats in a couple areas of the county. But as when they were presenting to us, it was kind of like you're moving from some of your schools from Fuller House to Full House. And so that is kind of what they were looking at. There's not a whole lot of movement that we can make. Once we get a little bit further and now those start looking at actual zoning boundaries that would go into effect hopefully for the 24-25 school year, I definitely would like to have a joint session and get with Commissioner Phillips and Mayor Carr just to have an idea of where we are and what we are looking at for our enrollment and what each building kind of holds. So that's kind of the main work that we are working on as we move into next school year.
Yep. Any questions on that consultant's report, Commissioner Oliver?
I do have a question relative to your enrollment for the summer. What percentage of that are the third graders that were impacted by the retention law?
About 700. So 700 of our kids are third graders. What we've found, though, is that we had quite a few third graders who appealed and had the option to leave, and some did leave and not attend, but we had quite a few stay as well. And so we are down to only, and I have to credit Elizabeth Davis, it's a horrible title. She's our learning loss coordinator. It's a really bad title and a position. I have to fix that. And Dr. Chastain, and really just our entire team, we are down to 12 students that we feel like we are going to have to retain because either their parents say they're on a joint custody plan and I can't get them here, or just various emergencies. So when you're looking at 3,100 third graders and we're down to 12 that are really probably going to have to be retained for various reasons, it's a shout out to an entire community coming together. So
That was going to be my next question.
Yep.
So only 12.
Only 12. As
Praise
long as they
God.
stay coming to summer school and do tutoring, we're down to 12.
Gotcha. Awesome.
So about 25% of the summer elementary, or those third graders catching up. That's a significant number, but glad you'll have a way for them to catch up. Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman. Just before you leave, because it has not been done as far as I can remember, for this committee or the full commission, would you, for the public, just for the record, talk about the reunification drills?
Yes.
I was extremely proud of the Board of Education. Patty did a wonderful job with that. The amount of participation of principals, assistant principals, and showing up to take care of something so important. As far as I've heard, and I'd like to hear you speak to this, we're one of the few counties doing this, that are planning ahead in case we have an event happen that we are prepared to handle it. Would you just talk a bit about that?
Be happy to. So Patty Easer is our school safety director, and she really started working with a group called I Love You Guys. They're a reunification group, and one of the founders' actual daughters was killed during a mass shooting event. And I think many commissioners attended, our school board attended. I mean, it was, for that type of an event, it was great to see. But basically, the whole premise is our county has been well ahead by funding SROs for decades. We're definitely a model and continue to be a model for how we are supporting safety in our schools. However, we also have to make sure we have all the drills in place, you have all the plans in place, but unfortunately, you do need to practice for what something's going to be like in the event of emergency. So we had a reunification drill. It was 2 days where we had a full day of training for every one of our principals, and then we have key district office staff as well. And I will tell you, it's a little bit exclusive feeling when I wanted to be a member of the district staff, and they're like, there's no way in the world during an emergency you're going to be in the middle. You're going to be with the media. You're going to be with all kinds of people. We can't depend on you to be able to be there to do the operations side of it. So that was a hard pill to swallow when you're trying to lead a district, but it was good for our principals to hear the exact same thing. They had to be placed on different teams. We went through 4 or 5 different scenarios to where they had to act as a parent, had to act as a kid, had to act as a staff member, emergency response member, and to where they practiced during an event, how would you reunify all of your students with your parents? I mean, there were some hard conversations as well as what happens if there's a child that didn't come to school that day and the parent is thinking the worst. How do you even have that conversation with the parent who's coming in thinking, I'm the last person left waiting? How come my kid's not here? Did something happen to them? And having to be able to comfort them and let them know that, maybe your child wasn't here because of attendance. And so just playing through all those different scenarios, it was one of the better things we've done in a long time. It's not fun, something we hope we never have to deal with, but even if you have a gas leak, you're going to have to reunify kids. And for us to be able to practice that type of thing was a good event.
Well, we certainly appreciate you guys taking the time to do that, all of the participants, principals, assistant principals, and I want to say this personally, and I know several commissioners were there as well. The comments from our staff and from principals, the fact that we were all there representing our entire county, school board elected officials, county commissioners, educators, everyone coming together, it really means something. And it was really great just to see everyone working together, because it shows that the full county is in this together, especially in the event that something like that were to happen, that we all want to make sure we're prepared. So appreciate everything they did. Patty's doing a wonderful job, and I just wanted to be sure I said that publicly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for recognizing that. Any other comments or questions from the superintendent and his budget director while we have them?
Dr. Sullivan, I have a quick question. It's not related to school. I'm looking over the schedule for the College World Series, and I don't see Vanderbilt playing. Do you know what time they play?
Oh, that really hurts. Wow.
That's cold.
Yeah.
Go Vols.
I think it was like June 21st, 2024. I think it was the date that I saw. I didn't see them on the calendar this year. I really anticipated being in Omaha this week, so I'm still a little hurt.
Are you taking Commissioner Gooch's place being the
I will be sad little face now.
funny
with
guy?
you.
I sit beside him, and he rubs off on me.
Yes. Thanks for the levity to wrap this up. Thank you guys for getting the budget year finished. Thank you for bringing all the efforts and the collaboration that continued through reunification and continues through these budget cleanups. So thank you for that.
Brian will be here representing me tomorrow night. I will fly over here as soon as I am finished. We have a policy meeting tomorrow where we have some not fun topics to talk about. But Brian will be here beforehand, and I will be here as soon as we get done.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Any other business? I'll talk about our schedule, but does anybody else have any other business? Chairman Phillips, did you have any other business for this committee?
No, I believe the next calendar meeting is scheduled for the 25th of July. I would recommend that we leave it on the calendar in case there's any budget amendments or that any department might need to make. And then if there are none, we can cancel that a week prior to that. I would recommend that we leave it on the calendar and then cancel it if there's no urgent business to take care of.
And if any committee member had an agenda item, in addition to budget items, by the way. So So if that's agreeable to this committee, we will leave the meeting on the calendar. In the event that there is no new business, we will cancel unless anyone here has new business that's brought to my attention and to Rachel's attention. Very good. So we may get July off. August then will be a committed meeting. And we will, at that point, I think, discuss when we want to meet at CCR and any other new business. No other new business before us. I will call this meeting adjourned.